Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well as usual. So back again quite quickly with yet another video. This time, as promised, it's a contest entry, and that's for John from Rock and Metal Plus. So most of you are probably familiar with his channel. If not, I'm going to talk about it a bit today. But essentially, he just started this contest because he recently reached 1,000 subscribers. So congratulations, John. That's really well deserved. As always, because I've seen the number of subscribers in your channel grow rapidly over the last few years since I subscribed to your channel. And yeah, if you're not familiar with his channel, he shows a variety of metal music, like all subgenres, especially like the extreme stuff like black and death metal. So I like that, but he also likes, you know, hard rock, heavy metal, and even some genres that I'm not too familiar with, like goth music and that kind of thing, and doom metal. So yeah, it's a very diverse channel, and he's also done, like, he provides footage of concerts he's attended and festivals, things like that. And I think he's even done some interviews with quite big bands. I can't remember one of the bands, My Dying Bride or Paradise Lost. I can't remember, but that's just an example. So yeah, very entertaining channel. And if you don't know John, he's like got a very dry sense of humor, very sarcastic, which I find funny. You know, like a lot of YouTubers out there. But yes, I will leave the details to his channel in the link below. And what he's done for this contest is ask for us to answer 10 questions, which are quite interesting. So I won't read all the questions first, I'll just go through them one by one. But it's very straightforward and it looks like a lot of fun, so you can join the contest too. Let's get started. So the first question, the theme is first. So tell me your first album or gig or movie you saw at the cinema. So it can be either of those things, album, gig or movie. I've chosen a couple of examples, but the first gig I ever attended was Alice Cooper on the Trash Tour. So for this album in Sydney, that was the year 1990. So I was still very young at the time. Well, okay, everyone knows my age. I was 11, but yeah, that was a real eye-opener into the you know, theatrics of the metal music world and extremity and things like that. And it was a very entertaining show. At that time, I just really liked Alice Cooper a lot, so my brother and I and a couple of friends, we knew this album back to front, and yeah, it was a fantastic show, you know, as you know, with Alice Cooper, very theatrical. So yep, first concert ever, Alice Cooper on the Trash Tour. And also first movie, I just thought, just to change this up a bit and make it a bit more interesting, I would include a movie as well. So the first movie I think I ever saw at the cinema was E.T. with my dad. So again, that's indicative of my age, even though I've just explicitly told you how old I am anyway, sort of indirectly. Anyway, but yeah, so E.T. was the very first movie I saw at the cinema. But in terms of the first movie that I started watching obsessively when I was quite young was Big Trouble in Little China. So I've got two versions here, alternative artworks. But if you're not familiar with this, it's directed by John Carpenter and starring Kurt Russell. And how to describe it? It's like a combination of action, martial arts, fantasy, and comedy. And very entertaining movie. It's absolutely hilarious. I still find it funny to this day, and so do a lot of my friends. So if you haven't checked out this movie, definitely do so. It's an absolute classic. So Big Trouble in Little China, the first movie I became really obsessed with and watched repeatedly. Okay, going to question 2. The theme is last. So the last album or gig, sorry, the last album you purchased or gig you went to see. Sorry, I was mixing up the words there. Yep, but okay. So the last gig I went to see was actually Left to Die, the death tribute band in Bangkok. And to make this video more interesting, I was going to bring my poster and show you, but because I'm a fucking idiot, I I left it in Bangkok, so unfortunately I can't show you that today. But you know, Left to Die, yeah, as I said, death tribute band, featuring some of the original members. I think Rick Ross on guitar most notably, but that was a fantastic show. So that was back in March, and the last album I purchased, this was when I was back in Australia recently, was Bloodbath with Nightmares Made Flesh. Like, I saw this on sale at a flea market record shop, and this is actually a buyback for me, but upon listening to it, I really enjoyed it once again. Just very bouncy, catchy, brutal death metal. So great album and band. The only other release I own by them is Breeding Death, so good to get some more Bloodbath in the collection. So most recent purchase, Bloodbath with, is it? Yeah, Nightmares Made Flesh. For some reason I wrote on my screen Resurrection Through Carnage. No, Nightmares Made Flesh with Peter Tegtrin on vocals. Okay, so question 3 now. Always. The theme is always. So name your favorite album. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll all know that my favorite album of all time, metal album, is Those of the Unlight by Marduk, and favorite rock album is Lick It Up by Kiss. But you've heard me say this many times, so I thought I would change it up. In fact, I think in one of John's previous contests, I already mentioned that, you know, like they're my two favorite albums, Those of the Unlight by Marduk and Lick It Up by Kiss. But today I just thought I would show two albums which I always go back to, and I've listened to them since the mid-90s and I never get sick of them. Just a Norwegian duo here. We've got Emperor with In the Night Side Eclipse, so symphonic black metal at its finest, and Enslaved with Frost, which was the sort of first full-blown Viking metal band, but strongly influenced by black metal. So two Norwegian bands. Like I said, been listening to these since the 90s, and I never get sick of them. I always go back to them. They hold a lot of nostalgic quality for me, but on top of that, the music is just fantastic. So yeah, two albums I always return to, In the Night Side Eclipse by Emperor and Frost by Enslaved. Okay, question 4. Something old, an album that you've had for ages. So once again, I could talk about some of my other favorite bands, you know, like Immortal, Dark Throne, and how I've owned those albums for ages, but I thought I would just show something different today. So one I've owned for a long time is Once Upon the Cross by Deicide. So hard to believe that this album is 30 years old, and I bought it when it first came out. Like, I was still in high school at the time, so I've owned this for 30 years, and it's just incredible to think that, you know, time really does fly. Like, I still remember the day I bought it, believe it or not, and I'm getting into this album. Like, it was an uncharacteristic album for Deicide because it was a lot groovier and less technical, but at the same time it was still really heavy and brutal. But I still love this album to this day. It's very catchy, and I've always liked the artwork on this album. Like, you see draped in the sheet here, and then what's on the inside. Yeah, cool, great album. So owned this for 30 years, Once Upon the Cross by Deicide. Okay. Okay, next question. What is this one? Number 5. Something new. So show a new album or a shirt. So to change this up, I thought I wouldn't just show CDs or albums, but actual clothing as well. So a new shirt that I bought. This is the cover design of Morbid Angel's Blessed Are the Sick, which I got from my local contact here in Thailand. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what this design on the back is supposed to be, but yeah, this cover is iconic, and incidentally, the reason I bought it is because it's my favorite Morbid Angel album of all time. And I think I've mentioned as well that this band took ages to click with me until about 15 years ago, but this was the album that sort of was the gateway and triggered my interest in this band. So great album, and I like the shirt as well. So that's Morbid Angel with Blessed Are the Sick. Okay, question 6 then. We go on to question 6, which is something borrowed, an album that you have but didn't get yourself. So I could show a borrowed one, but I thought I'd show something which is relevant to the YouTube community in the sense that something that was given to me. I didn't borrow it, but it was bestowed on me as a gift because I won a contest. And this was given to me by Mr. Boulder. It's called Thrash Metal, so it's just a 2 CD compilation. So I was in the draw for one of his contests, and I was one of the prize winners. So it was very nice of James to send this to me. And it was good for me as well because, as you've probably heard me say, thrash metal isn't one of my favorite genres, although I still like it, but this double CD introduced me to a lot of bands which I hadn't heard but really like. For example, now really like Tankard, and also, was it Hyrax? Was that in there? Yeah, I think so. And Camelot, you know, and a lot of bands that I was familiar with as well, but it was just interesting to introduce me more to the world of thrash, especially because I used to think that most German thrash metal sounded a bit dry to me, but then I think Tankard is now my favorite German thrash metal band. So that was pretty cool. So thanks, James. All right. And question 7 now, something blue. So I decided to choose the bluest album in my collection, and that is Covenant with Nexus Polaris. And this is an album which I recently, it was a buyback as well. So I owned it a long time ago, then sold it, but I actually bought it back recently because my interest in this band has been rediscovered. I think that was triggered by the fact that the band reformed just recently, playing live shows, and there's rumors that they're going to make a new album soon. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Covenant, they play a sort of, it's not exactly symphonic black metal, but it's sort of a creative offshoot of symphonic black metal where it's going in a different direction and playing a different sound. So it's not for everybody, but I think it's incredibly talented and atmospheric and unique. So just showing you how blue this is. Very blue indeed. Yet it's sort of matching the cosmic, spacey theme of this album. And another thing to mention is, this is like somewhat of a black metal supergroup. So yeah, really cool stuff. And because this is one I recently purchased, I'm not going to talk about it in detail today, but I will in a future collection update. But yeah, this is the bluest album I own, Covenant with Nexus Polaris. Okay. Okay, now question 8, shout out to some other YouTubers. So I've participated in many contests where I've been asked to do this, so I think I've almost gone through everybody's name. So if you have a YouTube channel, chances are I probably mentioned yours. Well, that's an exaggeration, but pretty much everyone. So, and it's hard to remember if I've repeated myself because I've done these so many times. So I thought I'd mention some YouTube channels which I don't think I've mentioned before. So the first one is called the Downfall Network. If you're not familiar with that, I think that's run by a group of guys actually, but they do episodes on band history. So you know where they talk about the inception of a band and then all of the albums they release and they review all of the albums, a bit like Razor Fist or something like that. But obviously Razor Fist is injected with a lot of humor. So is the Downfall Network, but it's just different. But they've done, you know, artist reviews or like discographies on some bands which are not commonly covered. For example, Impaled Nazarene, and yeah, there are others, I think. So like that's a really cool channel, the Downfall Network. Definitely check it out. Another one that I really like, which is similar, showing the history of bands, is a channel called Metal School, and it's just very professionally narrated. No bullshit, no frills, just straightforward and informative, and I've found it really helpful. Especially Metal School, it's got me into some new bands, like, you know, for example, like Warlock and Doro and Keel, YMT. So it's like hair metal, but then he's also done ones on Venom. So I just find that a really interesting channel as well. So Metal School. And one that's run by just one guy, I think this one, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing or saying it correctly because it's sort of like an acronym, or I'm not sure, but it's all in capitals, Rydan 666. So RYDAHN 666. So that's a channel run by an American, I think he's North American, but he mentioned in one of his videos he has a Brazilian background as well because he's got a Brazilian passport. I just remember that. But yeah, I really like his channel because he talks about a lot of the music I like, especially extreme metal like death and black metal. And how I was introduced to his channel was the fact that he had a video entitled A Love Letter to Finnish Black Metal. So it was covering Finnish black metal, which is one of my major musical interests, and I found that really informative and entertaining. But he's also done videos on like sort of mainstream 80s metal, thrash metal. He did a discography on Cryptopsy, you know, and I just find it really informative. He's very eloquent and witty, and also like sarcastic and has a deadpan sense of humor, but it just cracks me up, but it's also really entertaining to watch. So once again, the name of that channel is Rydan 666, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Okay, now we go to question 9, a question you want to ask me. If you don't mind, John, I'll ask 2. So first of all, how many hours a day do you listen to music on average? And the reason I ask that is because I always see your collection updates are coming in thick and fast, that you're buying so much music. And that's cool, of course, but I wonder, it must take a lot of time to listen to that. So like, how many hours a day would you say on average you listen to music? Like, I know for me it's at least a couple of hours, like probably about 3 or 4 hours on average, but for you I'm imagining it's maybe 8 hours. I don't know, let me know. I'm just curious about that. And do you have time to listen to everything that you buy as a sort of corollary to that? Okay, and my next question is, now this one's probably going to be a bit controversial, but I honestly don't intend for it to be. Can you tell me, are there any ways to pick out if a person is Welsh? Now, so this is probably going to set YouTube afire. The reason I ask that is because I know what the Welsh accent is like. Like, I had a teacher at school who had a very strong Welsh accent, as well as my colleague in my last job. They both had very strong Welsh accents because it's very sing-song, so I get that like classic Welsh accent. But a lot of the time, and I don't mean to offend all Welsh and Northern English people at once, but at the same time, sometimes I can't discern between a Northern English accent and a Welsh accent. So are there any like words or expressions which would give someone away as being Welsh? And like, all sarcastic remarks aside, because the reason I asked that was I remember over here, I met a guy who had a pub he said, come to my pub, and then I said, thinking I was clever, whereabouts in northern England are you from? And he replied, I'm from Wales, you cheeky sea. So that's like sometimes it's hard when they don't have that sing-song accent. So, and like, to be honest, John, when I first saw your video, I couldn't tell that you were Welsh. So are there any sort of factors which are indicative of someone being Welsh? Yeah. Okay, and question 10, how did you find out about my channel? So talking about John's channel here, I actually found out through Liam, otherwise known as the Deaf Doom Metalhead, because he was doing a video where he was shouting out channels, and one of which he included my channel, so thanks a lot, Liam. And yeah, he just mentioned a few, like in a handful, and one of them was John's, so I decided to check it out. And the first video I watched by you, John, was where you were talking about Metallica's first, best, and last. Yeah, so yeah, I specifically remember that. So yeah, that was thanks to Liam. And yeah, I'm not sure if Liam still watches my channel or not. I don't know about that, but yes, thanks to him, I discovered your channel. So there you go, guys. I hope this wasn't too long, 17 minutes, which for my standards is not too long, but there you go. I'll leave the link to John's channel in the description, and I won't ramble on anymore, but I hope you enjoyed the video and my answers. I will be back again soon with a collection update because I have a backlog of releases and there's more contests to enter. So it means it's going to keep me busy, which is cool. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Thanks for your support of the channel, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.